To me, basically, what it means is there are no limits to what we can achieve unless we believe. All the breaks you need in life wait within your imagination. Imagination is the workshop of your mind.
Drops mic. No limitations. Nothing can stop me. Crushing limiting beliefs.
This is the No Limit Show with Elaine Jacob.
Crushing limiting beliefs.
Hey, welcome, Tony. Thank you so much for having this chat with me. As you know, every week we're highlighting coaches, leaders, people who are making an impact in the world, and we want to get inside of this picture. And so I'd like to welcome everybody listening in. You are among friends, Tony. So I wanted to let you know this is a safe space, and it's just a place where we can have a great conversation. A lot of the people that listen in, just so you can get an idea, are leaders, they're entrepreneurs, they're working and doing really amazing things in the world, actually, which is really cool. It's quite global as well. And so with that, maybe for me to give you a quick introduction on our leader coach on a spotlight today. We've been calling it the Spotlight series only to kind of shed light or put a spotlight and give a microphone to people doing amazing things in the world like yourself. So from what I know, Tony, you started your, so those of you who don't know, Tony is my husband. First and most beautiful thing is we're married. And I've got, I guess the most beautiful journey is watching you grow at being you. And I think that that's quite beautiful, right? Because we do many things, but not just growing what you do, growing who you are. And that has been amazing. And I went onto your LinkedIn quickly to look at it. And you have, your opening line is Chief Connector. And it was for Continental Connections, or it's for Continental Connections, which says Chief Connector. And I thought that that's an interesting way to introduce yourself. So, Tony, the microphone is yours. Why Chief Connector?
Thank you, Coach Ella. Really appreciate for giving me this privilege. I really appreciate, and more than anything, thank you so much for all the work that you do, and you impact people literally across the globe. And I'm privileged to be one of them. And thanks once again. And coming back, and hi to the listeners also, of course, wherever you're at. I'm sure like whatever discussion we may have, that we will have, will be as useful. And coming back to the question is Chief Connector. To be honest, that name didn't just come. And basically, I look back, I asked myself, what do I do? How do I introduce myself to other people? And of course, I have to look at all the work that I've been doing, so the main things is either I'm traveling internationally or doing a business activity within the country that I live in. The connection or the networking have a higher kind of, that's a name somehow it kind of jumps out for me. And later on, all of us, we get to know of introducing ourselves. I'm a manager, I'm the CEO, that's a traditional way of introducing ourselves. But the moment you say Chief Connector, people will ask, wow, what does it mean? At least a kind of title that we give, it kind of create a question for the other person to engage. That itself is connecting with others. So basically, in the easiest format, Chief Connector, it came because any business that you want to do, you need to be connected with others.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that is great. Thank you for sharing that. I think whenever you're in entrepreneurship, it's basically connecting people to an opportunity, right? Or finding a way to connect the two dots. So I think that is such a brilliant way to put it. And from knowing you, I do think that, I don't know whether it's an entrepreneurial thing or whether it's something that's just you, which is always looking for opportunities and where are the connection points. So before we dive into what you do, how you do it, why you do it, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about Tony Hagos. Who are you? Where do you find yourself? What makes you you? Anything that you want to let our listeners know about.
Yes, Tony Hagos is, always being inquisitive from young age. When I become inquisitive, not knowing also what I want to do in life. One things I know is there's some kind of growth need to happen in my life from small. But if you ask me while I was young, what do you want to do or where you want to go, I will tell you straightforward, I have no idea. But having the hunger within you that makes you like look for into something. Basically, yes, from younger age, I used to do business. I used to work in different places. I mean, you name it. I was a salesperson. I was a waiters. I was, yeah, whichever you think of like ordinary person can do. But one thing I realize is I feel no, there is more to it. Yes, I've done here and there different kind of courses, but eventually I jump into a business. How I jump into the business, especially the retail, as like I saw the opportunity or being curious. People always ask me for the kind of outfit I used to have. And later on I realized, like, why can't I try it? It's only if I try that I will know whether it works or not. And of course, being a salesperson, a different kind of industry, so I have the courage to start it. And eventually that small business grew and it became multi-store in the country. And still I feel there is some kind of things needed wanted to come out from me. So those are the things help me to realize I think I need help.
Mm.
I need help in a sense. I need somebody who can mentor me, guide me. In this case, somebody who can coach me. And those are the things I went through the cycle of, learning from one of the biggest mentor, which is John C. Maxwell. I'm so grateful for his books and his lessons. So wonderful. Of course, I've been introduced that person by this beautiful person in front of me, Coach Ella. And I went through that journey. Later on, once, I do that journey, I said, wow, actually, I see people like me who have the same kind of deficiency who needed help. I said, okay, why can't I do what I learned to do serve to other people?
Mm.
And of course, I started a coaching journey. That coaching journey is basically assisting people to be more, to understand more. All of us, we want to grow, we want to be more, but we don't know where to begin and where to start. And we don't even know how to be more. And for me, I specialize basically, through my experiences, I want to do cell training. I want to do that, as I name Chief Connector. I want to connect businesses. I want one business to add value to the other business. By adding value business to business, basically, you see the benefit. And of course, the other one I do is assisting people to invest in property. And that itself is basically kind of showing them for people to be more in terms of financial security. And, simply I just kind of pinpoint the few things that I do. So generally, I assist people to be more than they think they can be.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think that that is really the coaching journey where we become co-creators with the other person, coming alongside other people and saying, what is it that you want? Like, what is it that you see? And how do I get committed to what is it that you're doing and partner with you? And I guess it comes back to that chief connector statement that you made, because for me, and I mean, like, this is just me, when I have someone who I can chat with, who's kind of seeing what I see and says, yes, it's possible, there's some kind of reassurance that I get to say, yeah, okay, cool. I continue on this path because obviously there's more for me here. And I think that, we always testing what we're thinking on our environment and the people around us. And sometimes, and like I get into trouble with this all the time because I'm a dreamer, right? Like I can see way into the future. I have ideas for days. And I say it to people and then they look at me with this eyes like, what that's crazy. And then, I mean, so I've also gotten brave, braver, or maybe more strategic with who I share, what I share with, because I also don't like people to look at me with that square eyes and say, oh God, like what's going on in your head? That's crazy.
Mm.
But having someone who reassures, someone who says I see it, and if
Yeah.
you believe it's possible, because it's really around this, if you're sourced with the idea, you can be
Yeah.
resourced for that idea. And I don't think we always believe that. So thank you for bringing that up. And there was a few keywords that I picked up from what you said. You mentioned growth, you mentioned sales, and you mentioned more. You those were like words that just kept coming up.
Mm.
And every single business or organization I know, and the ones that I work with, is obviously looking for that more, and they're looking for the growth. And you mentioned sales, and I'm wondering, do you think that sales is probably the hidden potential, or like the untapped potential, or the opportunity that's at hand? Because obviously you connect opportunities, to say maybe
Mm.
people need to be able to tap into their sales ability. And maybe
Yeah.
you want to unpack that for me just a bit, because you've been in this space for a very long time, as I can hear from, in the space of retail and business. Do you think people are really good at sales or are comfortable with sales? Maybe let me put it that way.
I think that's a great question, to be honest. One of the things is all of us, we need to understand we are the designer or the architecture of our journey. And regardless of in what business sector that you are, sales is very important. A lot of time we're not good at it because we don't see the importance of sell. In order to sell, you need to connect.
Mm,
In order to achieve the kind of business that you add, sell is human.
mm,
And when you understand that sales is a blood vein of your business journey, then only at least you will be attempt to be good at it.
mm, mm.
Otherwise, of course, all of us, we have a different kind of profession, but we undermine always the sales aspect of it. And if I don't introduce the kind of business that I have, the
Mm,
kind of service that I have to the possible buyers
mhm,
or to the possible, who need it,
mm.
there is no way that I will be kind of transfer what I have,
Right,
also in exchange to gain what I wanted to get. So
right,
sales is, again, it's, I will say, top of the range of any businesses.
right. I love it. I mean, you've said a few things. You said to sell is human. Sales is the lifeblood of an organization, and sales is a transfer of, I'm assuming, emotion. You didn't say it, but it's really a transfer of an emotion. And from the way I know it, it's really to be passionate about something, and the way you're so
Mm.
passionate about it, you kind of transfer that emotion onto another person. And just coming back to the statement on to sell is human, I have never made that connection before, to be honest. Okay, maybe not intentionally, to say, like, it's the most human thing to do, to sell. But I don't think we learn how to do it, because there's a whole lot of maybe fear of rejection, and, like, stuff that goes on. And so for me, thank you for bringing that. And obviously, sales is the lifeblood. Obviously, without sale, nothing happens. So when you're working with a client, maybe you can quickly give us a sneak peek into what it looks like being at your desk. So if I'm a client and I'm like, oh, Tony, Coach Tony, I really want to improve the sales of my business. As you know, I'm in the people development space, and I love, love, love people. I love everything about what I
Mm.
do, but I'm not sure that I'm maximizing sales. Talk me through the journey that you would take me through, just very quickly. I know obviously this is a longer conversation, but just to give our listeners the insight into, it's not a scary conversation. So a sneak peek always helps.
I think, like in this journey, always you have to be curious. Like we need to install the curious mindset. A lot of time we're not curious or we don't ask the necessary question.
Mm,
To what I said, cells as human, just think about it. You are graduates high school or university, you have the qualification that you need. But eventually, in order to convert it to the kind of income that you're looking for, you had to present it some way.
mm,
In fact, this is who I am. This is what I am capable of doing. This is a certificate. So the other person, basically, based on what you're saying, he will evaluate you. Basically, there is a form of exchange of self. You're
mm,
trying to sell yourself. I know this person might not think he's selling himself, but he does.
mm.
I have some valuable certificate or knowledge that I have in exchange of some kind of reward or a letter of certification or currency that you will be giving me, basically. So in that kind of activity, there's already sell is happening. So the person who's going to hire this person, he will decide to take him if he sees value in what he said and have, or might not because he haven't seen the value or the requirement that he's looking for. So again, it's not about this person having the qualification that he need, but he need to know how to present it. He
Mm.
need to know how to package it properly so the other person can see the value.
Sure.
So that's the reason I said, earlier, to sell as human
Mm,
and sell as, sometimes we don't know it a lot of time, but in our daily activity. So it's always nice to be conscious and curious to understand, so we will know how to present ourselves in a different form of our life.
sure, sure. I love it. Thank you. And
Mm.
I think that helping me understand that, because as an entrepreneur, we don't always go for interviews. We don't go for job interviews anymore. So it's like, when you prepare for a job interview, there's a certain preparation because you want to
Mm.
highlight what you do best and why you should be considered for this job. And
Yeah,
I do think in an entrepreneurial entity, highlighting what about the product would make a difference to the person.
yeah,
It's obviously selling the service because a lot of the time what we get to do in personal development is sell services, and what is the impact of that service. I think that we don't
mm.
always think about that. So yeah, and having said that, what what are the skills that you think um, is required, like for someone to sell effectively? What are the top skills? I heard curious. You did say having a curious mind.
Yeah.
Are there any other skills that you think that, someone to become effective as a salesperson needs?
I think one of the major things is, like self-awareness. Sometimes we have a different kind of behavior or character. At the end of the day, when we go somewhere presenting something that we have in exchange of what we're looking for, remember the other person a lot of time doesn't know us.
Mm,
So like it's all about, having that self-confidence to express ourselves.
sure.
Like when you don't have that self-confidence, like the other person or the other counterpart, basically he doesn't value to what we have.
Hmm.
So having the self-confidence and expressing to the other person and makes a big difference. So one of the things is carrying yourself in a way you can.
Right.
But a lot of time, there is so much story that we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough. Well, what if this, what if that, all those kind of things, when we go somewhere, we need to clear ourselves.
Mm,
We need to kind of affirm with a positive word over and over. And eventually, I'm not saying it's always perfect, but life is all about journey of growth.
yeah,
But
sure.
at least in advance, if we are consciously aware of certain things, the character that we have, where we need to improve, of course, like selling the products, having the knowledge of the product that we have, that helps. Like basically the journeys is all that.
Yeah, beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think that what I hear is this self-confidence come up. You keep saying
Mm.
self-confidence. And Um, I do think that for sales, self confidence is such an important skill. And I'm wondering whether is it, you said I'm not good enough, or like we think all these things. Could you talk to me about how would we overcome that? Like how do we overcome that I'm not good enough, or what if they don't want my product, and what if they say no? As you can see, I love the word behind me. Yes. I love yes, right? I love yes, but
Absolutely.
how do we cope with no's? Because as a salesperson, you hear more no's than you do ever hear the yes. So, what would be the skills that you would say that'll help us to overcome these, things that we're telling ourselves that takes away the confidence?
I think one of the things we need to know is, like, it's not everybody's our customer.
Okay.
So knowing that, also the only way to find out who's your client is only when you try, of whatever it is. So through that journey, there's always a yes. Maybe there's more no's.
Mm,
So understanding like it's not everybody's not my customer, it means expect no's.
okay.
So no doesn't mean the product or the service you have is not in need or less, but that person is not in need of your product or service. Remember, people have a different kind of need. So identifying also your client where you can provide service or where you want to go and present also is very important. So that's the things. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a mindset of everybody should buy your product and service, so the moment you get that rejection, that's when the falling, arises. But the moment you understand the different, it's not everybody's a client, but this journey is all about finding the client.
Mm, mm, mm.
And those journey of no basically makes you to realize, okay, you're not the kind of person, or this is the environment where I will put my service and product. So it's all about that helps you to reroute your journey.
Mm.
Same time, you learn so much from it. And you carry yourself. It's not about you, but it's about others. Of course, every time we have product and service, remember, it's a kind of a form of solution to others.
Sure.
So my solution or my service might not be needed everywhere, but in ideal world, I wish it is.
Sure, sure. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And so just hearing you, you said not everyone is your client. I wish everyone is
Mm.
my client. No, I'm
I
just
wish to.
joking.
I wish.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, just being in business, you just want as many clients as possible. But you're right, because I don't like. Okay, maybe I really like working with happy people. I actually wrote it
Yeah.
in my everyday affirmation things to say I like working with happy people, because yeah, sad people are just okay. Anyway, so not everyone, and I get it, because I've said, like happy people are my clients, because it's not everyone is my client. Where you say expect a no is such a game changer for me in you saying that. Because if I go into a conversation saying, expect that they will say no, Elaine, especially for someone like me. And so, at the academy, we do all this work around the disc and the I type personalities. If you know the I's, which is who I am proudly, like I need a flag for it to say like proudly an I. But the I, inspiring, influencing type, we don't take rejection very well because we like to be liked. So,
Mm, mm.
like that's the way with which we live in the world. We like to be liked, and we're likable people. So the minute we get rejection, it's hard. It's not something we understand well, because we've attached it to who we are as people, and not say, but actually, you don't want my product. This is the product that you don't want, but actually, no, you don't want me. And so it's that expectation of a no puts me in the mindset of saying, Elaine, if they say no, it's not that they don't like you. They just may not be ready for what you're offering right now. And that's huge.
Absolutely.
That's a game
Absolutely.
changer. That's a game changer for me.
Mm,
Where you say expect a no and expect rejection, it then helps me to think about, okay, if they're going to say no, and this is, it's not right now for them. It's not like, how do I deal with that so that I don't look like an embarrassed puppy, with my tail between my legs and saying, okay, fine, I'm going now. Because we don't handle our emotion well enough. And then we may end up cutting the relationship to say, okay, fine, you don't want me. Well, okay, fine. Like, here's, speak to that. And I don't think that that's what you're saying either, because you're saying keep the connection. It's about connecting.
Yeah.
It's about being a chief connector. And so even if someone says no, how do you remain authentic and show that you're here to add value and show that you're looking for the connection more than you're in it for just making that sale? And another thing you said, which I love, and I'm not sure even if you remember it, you said, your yes is at the end of a journey of no's.
Absolutely.
Light bulb.
Absolutely.
That was a light bulb to say a journey of no's means you're going to get a few no's, but it doesn't mean that there's no yes for you in the future, because it helps you to reroute until you find your yes. And what that shows me is being okay with failure and being okay to fail to success. As you know, our kind of statement here is to say, like, just fail forward, fail to success, and be open to people saying, no, not that way, not like that, because their yes is going to be the solution that they need, not the one that you are. It may not be in the box that you presented. It has to fit inside this box. And if it doesn't, it's a no. No, no, no. It may need a little bit more conversation connection for us to be able to unpack that more effectively. So, thank you. I mean, like, you have served
I
me
think,
so much.
yeah,
Go for it.
to add on that is, like, it's always nice to understand, the service or product that you kind of intended to provide for others. There's two things to remember. Like, are you going with a mindset of what's in it for me,
Right.
or with a mind of what's in it for them?
Oh,
A lot of time when we go to that journey, what's in it for me? And when they said no, the rejection is so hard to accept it.
sure.
But the moment you go to the client, what's in it for them? And they said no still, the rejection can be handled much, much better. Remember, at the end of the day, no doesn't mean it's no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clients that I had personally who said no, but along the way we met again, and there's so many yeses that happen. So your personality should remain what's in it for them.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
it's
a
always
great
nice to
attitude.
understand those ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
it's an attitude, right? It's an attitude if we're self-serving, if we're just
Yeah.
seeing it, it's going to be a tick of a box. Yay, I've got my, income stream sorted out. And obviously entrepreneurship is built on that. But I do
Yeah.
think that our income streams is based on how we help others. It's like it's
Absolutely.
a direct correlation of your ability to help equals how much you make.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
in helping, you're helping the other person. So, that's
Yeah.
what you said. So you're actually saying, but wait, what do you need? How do I focus on what is it that you require so that I'm able to take myself out of the frame and put you fully into it? And I think that that's beautiful. And I think from your coaching program, you basically do some of this, right? Understanding who the customer is, because not everyone is your customer, what's in it for them. So thank you for giving me a glimpse into what you do with
Yeah.
others. And basically, you're offering what, a 50% off to all our listeners here on a coaching program?
Okay, you said it. No,
It's
no,
a yes,
absolutely.
sorry. Is it a yes for
Yeah.
you? Look, I'm
No,
teasing.
no,
I'm teasing. I guess you're offering a discovery session. People can kind of maybe meet you up and kind of have a intro session or whatever. So what would be the call to action for you here?
to be honest, as I said again, it's all about what's in it for them. I love empowering people. I love seeing people growing and succeeding. All of us, we have that a blind spot.
Mm,
We wish all of us we can be the kind of person that we want to be. But having a person who mentor you or coach you is basically those people, coaches, by kind of asking a strategic question, they will assist you to see your blind spot. Once we understand the blind spot that we have within us, it makes it clear and possible to kind of navigate the journey. Otherwise, without it, all of us, we have, through challenges, all we see is that dead end, dead end, dead end. But the moment we include that person who is a possible mentor, basically he can show us, no, you can turn right, you can left. So the navigation changes. So, I kind of, as much as I seek help from others and I see so much benefit in me, I would love other people also to see those kind of benefit.
Sure.
So say yes. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. So you mentioned a few things earlier. You said sales coaching, that's kind of the thing that you do, and financial investments in property for financial security. So I guess if
Yeah.
people are having any of those conversations that you want to
Yeah.
grow, and look, we all want to grow money, right? We all want to grow our income streams. For me, a property portfolio is one that we live by. We're constantly growing.
Yeah.
And this is just, Tony and I, this is what we do. So I do think have a conversation, because what I do know is that if you want to understand money more effectively and save money and work with money, Tony is the guy. Tony is my guy. It's my guy, my money guy. But he will give you straight up, no no frills, just this is what you need to do. Do you save? Don't you save? And there are coaches in our team that already know Tony for he's very straightforward, telling you like it is, you're not good with budgets and that needs to change. And I do think that we all need to get better, because if we start to build our financial security and our financial investments now while we're young, it never hurts. It never hurts, because starting at this young means we're securing our growth, and it's going to give us the opportunity to live life in that more way, which is what you spoke in the way of more.
I think the way you mentioned, in terms of, finance, again, I mentioned earlier, we all are the architecture of, our journey. Finance or the money psychology is the biggest part of everything. It's always nice to understand, unconsciously, we all have habit of how we see money. But, we do have a journey that when we talk about money, we talk about the economics part, the psychology part, the sophistication part, of course, the execution part.
Right.
Those are a different kind of a step that we're talking about. The current income, the reality, the psychology, how we see money, also the understanding of the current economical activity. It's good to understand also the progress that you have within you, and also the kind of progress that you want to achieve in the future. So those are the kind of also point that we take when we talk about money psychology, which all of us we need, honestly. At the end of the day, I can't run a business and expect it to grow without having a healthy relationship with the money that I generate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I know we have a program at the Academy which actually looks at the psychology of money and financial security. And you had that up with some of the other coaches. So if anybody's interested, I do suggest go onto our Academy page, and we'll actually link it in the comments here so you could see it. You can actually go to Tony's workshop, look at that financial security, just check the dates. We have them rolling, so they'll roll out in different times. And I do suggest you sign up, learn more. I don't think it hurts learning about money. I think it never hurts. It's always better to be equipped in the space of money. And I think, Tony, from my side, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to learn. I love learning, as you would know, and I love learning from other coaches, because
we all do.
because this is so important work that we get to do in the world. And I know that we have a generation of young people coming into like their ability to work and find their dream and do all of these things. And I realize how important these skills that you're talking about, which is money management, financial security, and sales, even for the next generation to be able to understand this well. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Any last words? Any things that you just think like, oh gosh, before I go, don't do it. I need to say this.
No, one of the things is, I mean, all of us knows we need consistent change, information change, the dynamic of our life change consistently. So it's all about keeping up with the change. Otherwise, we stuck somewhere.
Mm.
So the fact, if we understand change, consistent change is needed in our life, those kind of training, not once, consistently is needed. So basically, every day we are in a changing environment. So our changing is kind of required to kind of keep up with our journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great statement to kind of end this kind of a session on, because we believe in lifelong learning. That's kind of what we,
Yes, absolutely.
it's like constantly reevaluating the position we find ourselves because the world is changing. And I came across a little like statement a while back, which has stayed with me because the future of work is kind of where I spend my day on, like teaching the future of work, helping people to cope with the future of work, which is already here, by the way. It's not in the future, it's right here. And
Yeah.
they say that so many times we don't realize how things are changing every day. It's because we're inside of a train. And in that train, we're in a space that is closed off to what's going on in the outside world. And if we're not changing with the world that's changing outside of the train, you're going to land in a place and you'll be like, I have no idea where I am. And that's how the world is changing every day. And so where you say change consistently needed, I think that's a beautiful thing, is to say, get outside of the train and start walking, because, you'll constantly be relevant to your environment, as opposed to you stay in a box and you wake up one day and everything is changing. And it's changed so quickly that you're not able to have the relevancy or the language of that time. And I do think that is so key. So thank you again. I'm going to share all the details so people will be able to reach you out. You can find Tony on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find him on his coaches page at the Academy. So we are an academy of coaches that come together for a community of practice. We're called the Leadership Academy. And it is a beautiful space that we get to be, because we are just creating the future. That's what we say. We are all creators of the future. And it is a wonderful thing that we get to do, where we're actually, we grow together and we grow with each other, which is just amazing. And so with that, catch our next episode. We're going to be doing these weekly, and we're going to be meeting people from all over the world. So thank you once again, Tony. Lots of love. And I wish you the very most success in your coaching growth journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. Once again, really very uplifting environment that you have, and very encouraging. And thank you so much for all the work that you do. So grateful. And thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.